Hi, I'm Rob Mowat from newenergyfocus.com, and we've been to All Energy 2010 to hear from three key players from the industry. First of all, the Crown Estates outline their plans for future energy development and growth around the coastline of Britain. Secondly, the Public Interest Research Centre tell us about the offshore valuation and major new study launched at the show. And thirdly, we have exclusive highlights of the new Energy Minister, Chris Huhne, keynote's address to the media at the show. Let's hear what they've got to say.
As the Crown Estates, we actually have quite an exciting development programme for offshore renewables. Over this decade, actually, we've actually completed negotiations for around about 50 gigawatts of renewables to be built out by 2020. That's actually a mix between, majority of that is with offshore wind, but we also have an emerging wave and tidal programme. To date, we have around about a gigawatt of offshore wind built offshore. So we can see there's lots of potential. We're really only just at the start. So over this next 10 years, there really will be a ramp up or an acceleration in the build out of these offshore renewables.
My name is Tim Helwig-Larsen. I'm Director of the Public Interest Research Centre and have been chairing the Offshore Valuation Group. We're here today at the All Energy Conference in Aberdeen to launch a new study, the Offshore Valuation. This is the first economic study, full economic valuation of the UK's offshore renewable energy potential. The findings have been startling, surprising to us. They have been drawn from the expertise of the steering board of this project, which includes the Crown Estate, Scottish and Welsh Governments, DEC, and a number of energy companies. And we can see that the resource is actually many times larger, 6 times larger than the UK's electricity demand today. And really, if we're going to unlock the full value of this, we need to see how we can connect to Europe and find that larger market. The headline numbers really are that under the central scenario we've been exploring, using a third of the practical resource, Britain could be producing the electricity equivalent of 1 billion barrels of oil a year, which matches offshore oil and gas production over the last four decades.
I'm very, very keen that we should develop renewable energy as a resource for this country, which is obviously non-carbon emitting. It's absolutely key and in line with our climate change objective. It's also, I think, something which is tremendously important for our own energy security. I see no conflict between those two at all. And if you look at the report yesterday on the potential for renewables, it's genuinely the case, I think, that you can say that the North Sea in particular is obviously continues to be a very important resource for oil and gas and will continue to be for many, many years, but at the same time has the potential to develop as a resource with offshore wind in particular, which could be absolutely crucial for us in the years to come. But I am very aware, having been in business myself before I went into politics, of the absolutely key importance of providing regulatory stability and clarity if you're going to attract the sort of massive investment which we will need across all of the energy sectors if we're going to deal honestly with the problems that we have opening up in the future in our particularly electricity generation, and particularly if we're going to move to a world which is basically powered by electricity. So we're not just dealing with the sort of things that currently are powered by electricity, but moving towards quite possibly a very large part of the car and lorry fleet being powered by electricity, then we will need regulatory stability and clarity. In any coalition government, everybody has to compromise. And it's inevitable that there are some things that we wanted and the Liberal Democrats we didn't get. There were some things that the Conservatives wanted that they didn't get. What I think has surprised all of us is the genuine common ground on so much. And frankly, in this area of energy and climate change, there is a massive amount of common ground between the two parties. And there was only one real area of disagreement, which was the nuclear issue. If nuclear operators come forward with proposals for new build on the basis of that commitment of no subsidy, and it's possible? Absolutely likely. If you think of some of the projections, for example, in terms of the carbon price, that will actually happen, then the arrangements will be as we set out in the coalition agreement. The Lib Dem parliamentary party will abstain. We assume, I think any reasonable observer would assume, since both the Conservative Party and the Labour Party are pro-nuclear, there's therefore a massive majority in the House of Commons in favour of nuclear, that such proposals would go through. On all of the rest of the agenda, I am genuinely surprised and heartened by how much common ground there is, including a real commitment to renewables, including a real commitment, for example, which I think is going to be absolutely key part of our first year delivery, making sure we do much more on energy efficiency, particularly with the domestic housing stock, than we have done, or the last government did. And so I think that there is genuinely a real agenda here, which we are singing from the same hymn sheet.
So there you have it, word from three key figures within the industry. With more than 450 exhibitors from 16 countries and 6,900 registered visitors, and a packed conference programme with over 270 speakers in 50 sessions, All Energy 2010 more than backed up its claim to be the UK's biggest show of its type. New Energy Focus will be back next year, keeping you up to date and informed as always. Until then, let's have a 30-second look around the show.